side. So for example, here you have a patient who's got a 3B type carcinoma, hyalocholangiocarcinoma, who's undergoing a 3A type, 3B type hyalocholangiocarcinoma, who's undergoing a left hepatectomy, but may have an arterial involvement which requires reconstruction. This patient, irrespective of which side the artery is involved or the blood vessels are involved, it doesn't really matter. It's a poor prognosis whether you have got vascular invasion on the side of resection or on the side which you're going to preserve and reconstruct the vessels. And this is an important point which this publication brings up. The most commonly used and perhaps most commonly studied is this classification from Mie University Graduate School of Medicine in Japan, where they have used a biliary factor and a vascular factor to determine how to classify these patients. And borderline resectability here essentially means that the bile duct side is not too much of a problem, but the patient needs a vascular reconstruction. A few points to highlight. Here they talk specifically that it is only about the vascular involvement on the side of the FLR. So if there is vascular involvement on the side you're going to resect, then they say this is absolutely fine. It's not a borderline. It doesn't, but it actually does mean that the patient has a poorer prognosis. The second is that they have not clearly defined what is not reconstructible, and I think that is something that can be better described. And thirdly, in their table, they don't include lymph nodes, which is the most important prognostic feature in hyalocholangiocarcinoma. However, this is the way they have managed their patients, and they divide into resectable, borderline resectable, locally advanced. And in the resectable group, if you're lymph node positive, then they have given these patients neoadjuvant chemotherapy. And we'll discuss a little bit more about the outcomes on the basis of this plan of management a little bit later. And finally, there is a Delphi National Consensus, which is from Holland, where they tried to define borderline resectability, and they found they couldn't. So essentially, they've defined what is resectable, they've defined what is unresectable, and then they've said everything else is borderline resectable. And it essentially, again, comes down to if you need vascular reconstruction, you're borderline resectable. They have not involved lymph nodes. So the first thing to highlight is nobody knows how to define borderline resectable hyalocholangiocarcinoma. And if you can't even define it, then I don't know how you're going to proceed with neoadjuvant chemotherapy in this setting. But probably the Mie classification, which I showed you earlier, is going, if we're going to persist with this plan of management, is probably the most sensible. But I do feel that the modifications of including vascular involvement, irrespective of the side, should be incorporated into the definition of borderline resectability. So we know that neoadjuvant chemotherapy does work in patients with cholangiocarcinoma because we have the experience of the Mayo Protocol in transplantation, where nearly 50% of the patients had no residual tumor. And we have some idea from this study, which is quite a large study. Unfortunately, it includes both intrahepatic as well as hyalocholangiocarcinomas, but about 25% of the patients were hyalocholangiocarcinomas. This is a retrospective study again. 20% of the patients received neoadjuvant chemotherapy, and although we can't determine whether they were intrahepatic or extrahepatic, the neoadjuvant group did better in the long term. Finally, there's a lot of publications, but all of them are pretty lousy. I mean, lousy in the sense that you can't draw any conclusions from them because they're very small, There are case series of phase 1 studies. Nobody has a standard definition of borderline resectability, and there's a mix including distal cholangiocarcinoma and sometimes intrahepatic cholangiocarcinoma, and there's no standardized chemotherapy. So you can't really draw any clear-cut conclusions. But what you can make out from these 3 meta-analyses is that neoadjuvant chemotherapy is generally well tolerated by these patients. About 90% of patients were able to complete the chemotherapy. There is, in a significant number of studies, there was a greater chance of an R0 resection, although, as I've mentioned before, in the context of vascular involvement and lymph node metastasis, I'm not sure how important an R0 resection alone by itself is. It's important, but it's compounded by these other 2 factors, confounded by these other 2 factors. And there was, none of the papers were able to demonstrate a clear-cut improvement in survival. And Professor Ajit Sirivardhane, whom many of you know, in his meta-analysis, has used this very, what I consider fairly quaint phrase, but quite typical of him, I think. Scientific equipoise exists in relationship to neoadjuvant therapy for PHC, which basically means that nobody really knows what the hell to do in this scenario. So I'm going to discuss one paper. I'm going to discuss one paper which uses the definition of borderline resectability, as I've mentioned, and this is just to essentially highlight what the data is like and how it's very difficult to interpret anything. So first, if you just look at the, is this a pointer? Oops, sorry. Anyway, I'll do it with the arrow, yeah. So the first thing is, you can see that there are a number of patients, totally 5 patients out of 32 who actually had nodal disease and should have been in the borderline resectable group, but were considered unfit for neoadjuvant chemotherapy, and therefore, thanks. That center. No, it's easier with this, thanks. Should have been for, should have received, been borderline resectable and should have received neoadjuvant chemotherapy, but were considered unfit. So they're included in the resectable group and they're analyzed with the resectable group. So again, you don't know, it's totally mixed up the outcomes. Secondly, 45% of the people in the resectable group ultimately on explant had lymph node positivity. So they weren't actually in the resectable group. They had used PET-CT as part of their protocol, and as per the literature, at least PET-CT is highly accurate in detecting hilar lymphadenopathy, but maybe the need is to do an EUS or something if you really want to go down this route. And finally, sorry, so and there is a pretty good response rate and resection rate and a high R0 resection rate. There is an improvement in median, there is the median survival of the neoadjuvant therapy group was 57 months, not statistically significant because of the numbers. But what is important is 2 things. One, that in the locally advanced group, 1/3 of the patients ultimately came to resection. And therefore, I think it's important that if you're going to classify these patients and give them chemotherapy, neoadjuvant, and they are in the locally advanced unresectable group, you have to follow these patients, and some of them will become, quite a significant proportion will become resectable. And the second and more important was that there is a substantial number of patients who will progress on neoadjuvant chemotherapy. And so, you know, should you be giving them neoadjuvant chemotherapy or just going ahead with surgery? The chemotherapy schedules that are used nowadays are all gemcitabine based and either on their own or with cisplatinum or with S1. To finish, How is borderline resectable perihilar defined? Pretty poorly, in my opinion. There's a lot of confusion. Does neoadjuvant downstage perihilar cholangio? It can. Does it improve R0 resectability? Probably. Does it improve survival? Not on the current data. Is NAC well tolerated? Yes. Can it result in progression of disease? Yes. And therefore, we need to define, first of all, if we're going to do anything with borderline resectability, we have to define it better. We need better trials to determine the role of NAC. Initially unresectable younger patients, especially with good performance status, should undergo chemotherapy as conversion surgery, which may be possible in up to a third of them, according to this data. And my own feeling is that at present, if the tumor is resectable, resect it, and don't sort of mess around with chemotherapy. Thank you.